demon of gluttony is called Beelzebub, or the demon of flies. So you understand the idea of Beelzebub as a demon of flies, because flies move from place to place. They do not care whether the food is fresh or rotten. They do not care whether it's cooked or raw. They just move from place to place. Therefore, they have
Seven ano lang ang akin. Seven capitals.
you can use the word, wala silang kabusugan. That's why it's a symbol of gluttony. Flies are symbols of gluttony because they are not suffocated. They move from place to place. And as they move from place to place, they not only leave germs, but they also lay their eggs. So, Saint Clement of Alexandria made mention of the types of gluttony. If you can see the demon Beelzebub, you see he has mouths all over, no? Which means a symbol that it always eats, always wants to put in something, not in the mouth, someplace else. So you have the demon, or these are types of demons of gluttony under Beelzebub. You have the one that causes you to the immoderate use of delicacies. This is called opsophagia, the immoderate use of delicacies. The other one is gastrimargia, which is basically your gluttony proper, or belly madness. And lymargia is the madness of the throat. This is talk about drinking. So the demon that causes excessive drinking. So delicacies, belly madness, and drinking. Okay. And the gnat or black fly of the desert, you know, when you watch movies like Lawrence of Arabia or Aladdin, you find them always covered, no? Those who live in the desert. Iniisip mo, pag it's a desert, balot na balot sila. The idea is because of the black fly. The black fly is a kind of fly that bites. And as you can see, the sphincters, they bite. And therefore, it's a painful bite. And when they bite you, they will leave their eggs. Plant their eggs. You. And therefore, these eggs would become maggots, and the maggots would feed on your flesh. It's the reason why they're covered. So there is a wisdom in the old saying of the old people, buhay ka pa, nilalangaw ka na. Meaning, nabubulong ka na. Buhay ka pa, nabubulong ka na, or buhay ka pa, patay ka na. No? That is precisely what these black flies do. And therefore, thank God, we don't have black flies in the Philippines. We have pesky flies, but they can be killed by Bible, but they don't bite. They don't bite. But these black flies, or the gnat flies, they bite. And therefore, this is precisely the symbolism by which you get to understand why the Lord in the Gospels was accused of driving the devil with the power of Beelzebub. But Jesus said, how can the kingdom of the devil rise if Beelzebub acts against its own self? But this is to understand what Beelzebub is all about. It's all about gluttony. Saint John Cassian, Saint Evagrius Ponticus, Saint Dorotheus would also have other distinctions. A demon which drives a person to eat before the appointed time. In other words, eat every time. Eat every time, no? Or a demon which incites one to overeat. Or a demon which leads him to be on a lookout for dainties and delicacies. Sometimes we laugh at the fathers, people in their kindness will give love offerings to the fathers in the form of fruits. And in the form of fruits, depending on the season, of course, you will find fruits in the fruit basket. And there will be those who love looking at what's inside the fruit basket. It's just banana, that's an everyday thing. Apple, everyday. Orange, everything. But then you see peaches. Or passion fruit. Or what's this other one that looks like
Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. Then there's another one that is very sweet that looks like a tomato. Persimmon. Always on the lookout. Always. Or sometimes, especially Christmas, chocolates will be coming. People will give you chocolates, and we are in the community. We're obliged to everything that we give as food. We cannot keep in our room, so we bring it to the refectory for everybody to share with. And of course, if it's a common chocolate, chocolate, nobody touches that. Flat tops, of course, local. Hershey's, but then if you see Reese or Godiva, so always on the lookout. So ano natitira? Bananas. Okay, and of course, Sedevagrius, a demon which impels a person to soften the rigors of his past under the pretext that a simple life or asceticism is bad for his health. In other words, you always have an excuse. Pwede mag-fasting kasi bad for my health. Or, that is a valid one. You are sick, therefore you cannot fast. You are fasting. Sick because you overdid it. Again, that is also not rational, no? Because if it's irrational, then it's not helpful. Because it's supposed to help you in your journey towards God, unless you really want to get sick so that you will enter the kingdom of heaven earlier. So, what did you do? I did not eat. So, when St. Peter asked him, what did you do to enter the kingdom of heaven? I did not eat. Then there's St. Dorotheus, the lacrophagia, a demon that attacks person so that they would hoard food in order to eat in secret. Complicated. One day in our convent, we were smelling something really obnoxious coming from somewhere. So we were looking for it. Of course, when you say durian is lovable, you like it, etc. But you have to expose it, no, so that everybody can share. But then there was this really obnoxious. We were trying to look for it. Is it a dead rat, a dead whatever? And we were looking and looking and looking and looking. And then lo and behold, in one of the cabinets that no one opens, there is the durian that is rotting there. So somebody get it, to probably take it in secret, but then forgot about it. Senior moments. So, the lacrophagia. Of course, lacro means thief. Lacro means thief. In Spanish, you have the ladrones, no? The ladrones. So it comes from the Latin word lacro, the thief. So those Dorotheus tell us that lacrophagia, the one that hides food. In many convents, religious life, we are not allowed to have refrigerators in our rooms because we are not encouraged to have our own private life. If people give us food, that belongs to the community for sharing. But if you keep food for yourself, then you tempt yourself not to go out of the room anymore. Because you will not have your own food in your room. I don't want that food there, I will have food. So when you give your loving priests and loving sisters something, let it always be for sharing, not just one piece, no? Because they will hide it there. Okay. So, we cannot possibly scorn the gratification of food presented to us unless the mind finds greater joy in the contemplation of divine things. This is an important thing. If a person is a glutton, more often than not, the spiritual life is zero. The spiritual life is zero. Because the focus is always on having something to eat, rather than spend time in prayer. And this is also dangerous. I'm not criticizing it, but I'm just showing you a danger, an inherent danger of going to Mass in malls. In malls. Because it is not the focus of the going to Mass. It's actually the after the Mass thing. After ka naman mag-opening Father. Magbubukas ng ano. So the focus is not really on the prayer, finding greater joy in the contemplation of the divine things, but it's more on the after. It's all the after. Then there's that danger, because actually the focus is not on the worship of God, but on what comes after. So the shorter the Mass, the better. Next, so that is in terms of gluttony. Next one is the most problematic of all. Porneia, or unchastity. And the demon that is in charge of porneia is Asmodeus. Asmodeus is found in the book of Tobit. It is the demon that Saint Raphael fought against. So he is the demon of violent lust. As you can see in the picture, violent because it makes your mind explode, your heart explode, and below you explode. Because it's all the only thing that you think about. So exploding. Lusting after bodies. This is the reason why I was telling you about the images. It's always very particular. And when you talk about impure thoughts, you don't talk about shadows. When you talk about impure thoughts, these images are very concrete. Ano ang kulay ng lipstick? Ano ang kulay ng suot? Gaano kahaba ang buhok? Ano kulay ng buhok? Ano ang amoy? Anong pakiramdam? Gaano kahaba ang buhok? Gaano kaputi? See, it's very clear. And that is the reason when people say, I entertain impure thoughts, entertainment means nanood ka talaga. Nanood in your imagination. So when you construct the person, it becomes very dangerous because you now lust or desire for bodies. And even if the person says, wala naman ako sinasaktan eh. But then in your mind, you're already violating the person. In your mind, that is the reason why our Savior said that adultery is not simply just that, but is looking. Or how do you murder your neighbor? By desiring the ill of your neighbor, you already killed your neighbor. So So that is precisely this. The demon of unchastity and the desire of the flesh attacks us when? From our youth. From our youth. From the moment we enter puberty. In the body, and its attack is twofold, in the body and in the soul, and therefore should be fought both in these grounds, in the level of the body and in the level of the soul, especially on the lower faculties of the memory, the imagination, and the feelings. Because the demon of porneia is incompatible with the demon of vainglory. Vainglory looks at yourself highly. Therefore, you don't have time for these things. But the insecure often would fall into this. In order to be loved, they will seek to be desired. For them to be desired means to be loved. So there is great insecurity with these people. The slavery in excusing evil thought. This is an evil thought that has many excuses. Lust shares with sins like envy and pride the distinction of being invisible, slippery, hard to pin down. Kaya walang nangangaliwa na umaami. Walang nangangaliwa na umaami. Sabi sa akin mo, sweetheart, nangangaliwa ako. Nakakita lang kayo ng gano'n. Wala. Deny. Deny always. No, hindi ko lang ako. Hindi ko lang. Kayo lang yan. And like envy, ingit ka ba? Hindi. Mayabang ka ba? Hindi naman mo yun. It always has an excuse. Invisible, slippery, hard to pin down. And like envy and pride gives so many reasons to remove, mitigate, avoid guilt and responsibility by putting the blame on something or someone. So you say, kaya naman nagkaganto dahil sa kanya eh. Inano niya ako, ayaw niya na ako. So there is always that desire. Its effects, tingnan ito, immodest speech, in other words, bastos ang bibig. Buffoonery, walang ginawa kundi mag-joke. Pero mga joke niya, hindi nakakatawa. No? Buffoonery. Lagi na lang kailangan excuse the joke yun, don't take it seriously. Silliness and foolish talk. With porneia, any spiritual development is hopelessly unattainable. For it is a one-way street. It never just goes on. It just goes on and on and on, never being satisfied, never going back on a lower level once something more exciting has been achieved. Therefore, it is a daring evil thought. Once it has reached a certain level, it wants higher. Kaya yung mga extreme, kaya na kami sila nakakarinig ngayon ng extreme, di ba yung mga extreme na yun? Extreme. So, meron ka ng extreme sex. Kaya yung extreme sex. Ayun, baka nakasawit sa puno. Ang ganyan, di ba? Ang pinagkagagawa niya. But then, you know, for those among us who are saved, pag naisip, may magagawa gano'n, kadiri naman, kababuyan yata yun. You have those words. But there are those who are in that kind of situation. But they don't find it lascivious or they don't find it perverse. They find it exciting. Uncontrolled lust will lead to spiritual death, leading if it remains unrepented. You know, in the seminary, Meron akong lagi na-observe. I'm talking from experience as a priest and who live in a seminary. And perhaps you can also look at it from your perspective as lay people. When you have, for example, seminarians who are very, very prayerful and everything, then suddenly, nananabak sa prayer life nila. At nawawalan ng gana. This will always be the case. You're not talking here simply of self-pleasure, but you're talking here either of pornography or already of sexual activity. Kasi nawawala na yung desire. Hindi na nila ma-reconcile sa sarili nila na nangungumunyo sila everyday. So it starts, their vocation starts to die down. O pag nakakita ka na biglang paring nagbibinata, o asawang nagbibinata, nagkakaintindihan na tayo. So that is it, precisely. You just wonder why. Why? You just put the question there. But then, the wisdom of the fathers is very clear. There is this possibility. When does the demon attack? The demon attacks after a bout of too many eating and drinking. Kaya nga mahalaga kung bakit merong discipline in eating. Because all the things that if you cannot control what you eat, you cannot also control your other appetites. This is very clear. If you cannot control the basic, you cannot control the higher. So, after a bout of too many eating and drinking, which moves the body to generate vast amounts of heat, and what will you do with that heat? And where does it attack? It also attacks during sleep. When consciousness, which is the first line of defense, is at rest. It brings to fore the images seen while awake and steers the mind to wander. When we were seminarians, after night prayer, we are not allowed to watch anything anymore, so that we can focus on the studies and prayer. Kaya wala ng TV. Pero ngayon pari ka na, may TV ka na. Nako, hindi lang TV, may Netflix pa. Meron pang Amazon Prime. Meron pang YouTube, meron pang internet. About 24/7 ang papanood mo. Diba? So, mahirap na. Lahat ng pinanood mo, papasok sa iyong kukote habang natulog ka. Kaya kung pinanood ko dati, Tom and Jerry. Para maganda ang aking panaginip. Eh kaso, si Tom and Jerry lagi naghahabulan. Kaya ba't sa panaginip ko, pagod na pagod ako kasi habol na habol yung nagado sa ano ba yan? Diba? Tapos, minsan pinanood ko naman, okay, patuloy na lang natin. So let's change it. So, I watch SpongeBob SquarePants. So, may isang character doon, as in si SpongeBob. Pag tumatawa, nakakabuisit. Have you ever, if you have nephews, nieces, grandchildren, still kids, you watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Pag tumawa si SpongeBob, nakaka-irita yung kanyang tawa. Just imagine you can hear that laughter in your dreams. Buisit. Hindi ka makatulog talaga. I've stopped watching. After night prayer, sleep na. Nothing. Not read anymore. Do not read. Do not, except to pray or to read scriptures or spiritual reading. Nothing anymore to distract. Because no one ceases to be attacked by this demon until he truly believes that he will be healed and reach the heights of purity, not through his own efforts and labor, but through the aid and protection of God alone. You need, in order to desire purity, you need to rise higher. The third one, avarice, philangeria. And the demon attached to this is mammon. Hindi mammon, mammon. And according to St. Thomas Aquinas, mammon is the devil who is the Lord of money. And it's a worldly sin that creates misers, thieves, and murderers. And the wolf is the symbol of this demon. The wolf of avarice. According to St. Maximus the Confessors, there are 3 reasons for love of money. First, love of pleasure. Siyempre, kailangan mo na masarap. Kailangan magbayad and you need money. Vainglory, para lagi kang gustura. And lack of faith and confidence because you are insecure. St. Evagrius would say that the demon of avarice inflicts us with a feeling of insecurity. Insecurity. Alala ko nung bata kami, my mom would always buy soap. Dati pa, yung mga soap dati ganyan, no? So, every time we'll go to the grocery, she would always buy soap. Kasi sabi ko, Mami, ang dami-dami pa nating sabon. Nalagay kasi sabon dun sa taas ng siya. Doon ilalagay lahat ng ano. Eh di pag bumili siya ng sabon, na bago, nasa itaas, yun ang lagi mo nagagamit. Yung nasa ilalim, hindi mo nagagamit. May expiration pa ang sabon. Basta alam namin, kulay brown na yung ilalim dahil hindi namin nagagamit. Hindi na natin gagawin, ibabaw. Pag sabi ko, why do you always buy soap? Eh, mahirap na. Kasi nung bata kami, mahirap nakaharap ng sabon. Remember, she was talking about during the war. Diba? So there is that feeling of insecurity. Baka maubusan na sabon. The demon of avarice is a mutating demon. Look at this, this is interesting. It's a mutating demon, complex and baffling when frustrated by the strictness of renunciation. Because first, it tells us to be charitable. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So, it encourages us to be steward and lover of the poor. Anything wrong with that? Nothing. To prepare a welcome for strangers who have not yet arrived, so to be hospitable and to be proactive, or to send provisions to those in need. Anything wrong with that? To dream to do charitable deeds. Anything wrong with that? And tells us that we need money to do these things. Therefore, we should attach ourselves to the wealthy and advise us to be always following them wherever they go. That's why it mutates. But anything wrong with it? Not so much. Still, look. It induces the poor to acquire and save. So, avarice is not only for the rich, it's also for the poor. It induces the poor to acquire and save, and compels those who have renounced to get them back. Moreover, it infects persons from the start with lack of faith and ardor, so preventing complete detachment. Pero kita nyo, gagawa sila ng project. And the project is very good. But then at the end of that project is part of that, wala tayong pera. Kaya dapat, tumikit tayo sa pagbibigay na. So, nandun na agad sa end na yun. Pero, ano ang problematic dyan? Ito yung problematic dyan.